This is John McMichael with Aiken Business Matters, and we welcome today our guest, Jennifer Hart. She is the Community Director for Goodwill Industries here in Aiken, which is located at 1015 Pine Log Road. So today we're going to talk a lot about Jennifer and Goodwill Industries. Jennifer, welcome to the program.
Thank you, John. Good to be here.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, I have been with Goodwill now for almost 5 years, but before that, I was in the field of human resource management in the medical industry and manufacturing industry. I'm married, of course, to Gene Hart.
And I think a lot of folks, a lot of our viewers will know Gene from all the activities he's involved in around Aiken. So.
Yep. We both like to stay very involved, so he's certainly out and about a lot. And we have 4 children that are very involved as well in sports and school events. So
you've got a lot to keep you going other than just work. And
very much so.
I know you have your son is playing football at South Aiken, right? And what's his name?
His name is Cody Boynton, and he's a quarterback for football and a pitcher in baseball.
Yeah, he's kind of a tall guy too for his age, isn't he?
He is very tall.
How tall is he?
He's 6'4".
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It makes those of us who are under 6 feet very jealous to see that.
I look up to him, definitely.
I bet you do. And then you have a daughter. I know you're getting ready to go to some events that she's, I know you're real proud of her. She's done very, very well, and tell us about that.
Yeah, she's a competitive gymnast with Aiken Gymnastics, a fantastic program locally, and she qualified for the regional team this year to represent the state of South Carolina. And so we're heading off to Pigeon Forge for her to compete. She's one of 6 chosen in the state out of over 240 girls.
Wow, congratulations then. But that keeps you hopping, doesn't it?
Yeah, she's in the gym a lot. Takes dedication.
Well, how do you manage balancing family and an important job like you have with Goodwill Industries?
Yeah, so many people talk about balancing work, life, personal, and for me it's about integration. Everything I do, I'm part of a family. I am a wife, I am a mother, and I am a community director representing Goodwill. So no matter where I am, I'm all of the above. And if I have the opportunity to talk about Goodwill while I'm on the sideline of a football game, I do. And likewise, if I'm at work and I have the opportunity to brag on my children, I do.
Well, you're also involved in a lot of different community activities as well. I know you and Gene both believe in giving back to the community, and I've always admired that about your family, that both of you are doing it. And in fact, it's very rare that I don't have lunch or breakfast with one of you during the week at some event going on. So tell us about some of the things that you're involved with.
Sure. Well, first with the Aiken Chamber of Commerce, I serve as an ambassador and really enjoy that, getting to know a lot of folks in the local business community. I'm also a member of the Aiken Rotary Club, where I serve as the program's chairperson. I'm the board president for the helpline, the 211 here locally, and I also serve on the board of the Family Y. And I'm pretty active in booster clubs as well, as you could imagine, with my children in sports. So giving back is important. Everything we do, we're blessed with so much.
Yeah, and you left one thing out.
What was that?
You are a full-time chauffeur.
Oh, absolutely, I am. Yes, my day job is just my break from my real job, running my children around.
Well, that's a great thing to see a family, and I know y'all are all involved with each other, and that's a wonderful thing today. There's a lot of folks that admire people that keep involved with their children's activities. It just speaks well of you and your family. But what kind of things do you do with Goodwill Industries? Tell us a little bit about what the community director does.
Sure. My role with our Goodwill is unique to our organization because in this community I am responsible for every aspect of our Goodwill operations. So most people are familiar with our retail stores or even our donations, right, which we value, but we do so much more. Our core mission is really to help individuals obtain meaningful employment at a sustainable wage through education, training, career development services. So in my role, I'm certainly responsible for donations and our retail operations, but I'm also responsible for our workforce development services, all of our job connection services, as well as all community and public relations.
So the field that you come from with your HR background, I can see that really being an integral part of helping to implement a lot of these programs that you have.
Yeah, definitely. As an HR manager, you know, I saw so often we would post a job opening and see hundreds of applications come through, a lot of them very frustrated because they'd applied multiple times but could never get even an interview. And being able to then turn around and help those same individuals improve their skills, improve their job readiness, even improve just their written application so that they can get an interview and ultimately the job. That was very important to me, and it attracted me to this organization when I made the move 5 years ago.
Yeah, you know, that what you just restated is so important. I know in my business world, when I was involved in the hiring, so many times people didn't get a really good shot because their interviewing skills or their resumes just didn't really add up. It kind of cut them off at the very beginning of any kind of a job search. So it's a real important part of it. How do you manage to do that? What kind of things do you have in place to help these young men and women?
Yeah. Well, first of all, every day inside of our Job Connection office, we teach workshops in basic job readiness skills. And that begins at, you know, how to conduct a job search to begin with in
Right.
today's market, which is very different than it was, say, 20 years ago.
Yep.
Then we also teach them how to complete an application, and with a focus on the online application with software that weeds out individuals based on keywords. If you don't use the right word, you might not get recognized. And so we teach those skills. We also teach interviewing, and then we teach employer expectations. If you haven't worked in a while, you might not know everything that an employer would expect, and we don't want you to get a job and then lose it because you made a mistake that was easily rectified up front. We also teach financial management, as well as how to dress appropriately for an interview and for a job. All those different pieces, you know, come together to really help somebody put a better foot forward. So in addition to, you know, basic kind of computers, internet access, job leads, with certified facilitators there to assist individuals in their job search, those daily workshops are very important.
Are those professionals that teach these, or are they volunteers? Where do you get your trainers from?
Yeah, so the majority of our workshops are taught by our certified facilitators that work for me at the Job Connection office. But we do encourage volunteers who are interested to come teach some of those. So for example, financial management is taught by a local bank, and the dress portion is taught by a volunteer. And then, for example, if we do a job fair, we always do a job fair boot camp, how to be successful at a job fair, because that's very different than an interview or an application. And that is also taught by a volunteer. Liz Stewart has taught that for us a few times and has been very successful.
The job fairs, you also host some job fairs, do you not?
We do. Annually, we host two specifically. One in May that is designed around Goodwill Week, where Goodwills around the world celebrate the work Goodwill does. And then we also do one in October, which is the Disability Employment Awareness Month. And although we serve people regardless of if they have a disability or not, any individual that is looking for a career, unemployed or underemployed, we have been known for a long time for our work with the disabled. And so it makes sense for us to do a job fair during that week to bring more awareness.
I think everybody is more aware of the disabled, especially with the veterans that are coming back from deployment, and so many of them are minus limbs or have had different kind of traumas to their body that is continuing to affect them. What is the biggest challenge in dealing with that?
It's not necessarily an employer and how they view an applicant coming in, but it's how the individual views themselves.
Okay.
So often they carry with them this burden or a sense of, I might not get the job or I have this issue.
Right.
When the reality is they have so many abilities to bring to the table, and with that confidence, they present themselves very well.
One thing, I just want to stop just a second and make a comment. I don't usually do this, but when you talk about this, you have this spark that comes out, and it's neat to see. You're so passionate about what you're doing. You must love what you do.
I do very much. I believe that every individual at their core has a desire to work and to provide for their family. And there is an incredible level of dignity and pride that comes with that. And when you see an individual go from a broken, beaten down person who has been told no so many times to finally achieving that goal of obtaining a job and being able to get a paycheck and to provide food for their family, it really is an incredible experience. And I'm blessed to have the opportunity to witness that.
So you really get to see the before and the after and the continuing. Do you get to communicate with some of your previous students, we'll call them?
Yeah, I don't get to keep in touch with all certainly, but there are definitely folks that have made a very strong, lasting impression. And when I have the opportunity, or I see them at their job, or I see them in public, it's really great to see the difference in who they are today versus who they were when I first met them. And sometimes we're lucky enough that we get to employ those individuals in our own Goodwill retail store, and you get to see them grow, and it's very rewarding.
I can imagine. And some probably stick with you more than others because of some of the, I know of personal experience when I've, in the workforce, you see people that really had issues or that they were dealing with and that didn't necessarily bother other people. But you see them overcome it and then gain the real thing, which is the self-confidence, and that usually comes through people giving them encouragement, but also through more job skill training that they get. They feel more confident if they know what they're going to do and how to do it. And you certainly look like that's a key aspect of everything that you're about out there. People go by and they look at Goodwill, and I remember. How long have you been in the new location? I just thought about that because I was there when you did a ribbon cutting for that.
Yeah, it was August 5 years ago.
Wow.
So we're close to that 5-year anniversary.
Yeah,
at that campus.
time flies, doesn't it?
Does.
Are you? Something tells me that you have another ribbon cutting coming up.
I have no idea.
You had a situation out there that you are doing different things in your business out there, right? Have they had any new businesses that have opened up, or not new Goodwills that have opened up in the communities?
Yeah, in Grovetown.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
That's Richmond. Sorry about that. Yeah, in Grovetown we do. We have a new store opening up next Friday.
Okay,
we'll have a ribbon cutting.
Yeah, that's what I knew. I read that someplace. Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking Aiken campus, and I knew we didn't have another one coming up right now in Aiken, but
right.
in our Grovetown location we do.
How many Goodwill Industry locations are there in the CSRA? Or how many are you responsible for?
I'm responsible for one. I'm responsible for Aiken.
Okay.
So our Goodwill covers 35 counties. And I say our Goodwill, a lot of folks don't realize that each Goodwill is a completely autonomous organization.
Right. With your own board and everything.
Correct. Our own board of directors. And our Goodwill is the Goodwill of Middle Georgia and the CSRA.
Okay.
So we cover from Macon and Dublin in South Georgia through the Augusta area, and then 4 counties are in South Carolina. And our location here in Aiken is the only physical location in South Carolina beyond a donation drop-off in North Augusta.
Wow, that's a lot of territory for you to cover.
It is.
So how do you do that?
Well, our focus is on meeting the local needs of the community.
Right.
And so it really becomes getting to know businesses in the community, where there are gaps, and reaching those individuals that want those jobs. So We've really had a strong focus on Aiken. Our hope is that we'll be able to grow and expand and provide more service to Barnwell, Edgefield, and McCormick counties eventually. But right now, we're focused here in Aiken.
Well, you really have a great location out there. It's a good central location for you.
It is.
And the facilities are very, very nice. And every time I've been around there, the people that are associated with it are just extremely customer service oriented, I'll have to say that. So you've done a good job in training the people that are in there. Are all your employees, have they go through the program?
We have a mix of job-ready employees and trainees. So, in general, it should be about 1 to 5. If you get that ratio off, then individuals that need to learn aren't learning from someone who's job-ready,
Right.
Which is very important. And so anytime you come into our retail store, our goal is that you don't know if you are interacting with a Goodwill employee or a Goodwill trainee.
Well, you really can't.
Good.
I have to say that. It's a transparent thing. How do you get? Say you have somebody that comes in, they go through all that, they're applying. You help them. Do you have certain companies that you work with through the program, or you just help them to go out and apply wherever there's an opening?
Sure. Well, there are 2 different types of services. So
Okay.
in the general core services of a job connection, anybody can walk in the door and our facilitators will work with them to help them apply, help improve their skills, and ultimately help them get a position. So employers can call the Job Connection. We can post job openings for you. We have a board of hot jobs. We keep job leads and binders on available for those job seekers to look at. And so that's one area. We're really supporting the job seeker and providing a place for employers to advertise openings. The other piece is more intensive workforce development training. And so in that, we're spending a lot more time one-on-one with an individual who's coming through an intensive program. So currently we do a lot of work with the DSS SNAP to Work program. It's an education and training program for SNAP recipients. It's been in the news recently. There was a big change April 1st in that program.
Yep.
So individuals that are considered ABODs or adults, able-bodied adults without dependents, have a requirement now where they have to be either in a training program, be volunteering, or be working in order to maintain their food stamps. And we've been working with that population for a couple of years now prior to this change. So those individuals are able to go through more substantial training in workplace skills, in logistics, or in retail and customer service, where they would finish the program with a nationally recognized certification. And those individuals, we spend a lot more time really helping them and working with employers to identify job openings that they would be most suitable for.
Right. Well, your HR background really does. The more you talk, the more you explain what you have to do and the things that are going on there. That HR background really is a key part of this whole process for you, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I love the field of human resources. I love watching people grow and the process behind individuals obtaining their lifelong dream in their career.
Well, there's a big upside to what you do every day. How do you deal with failure?
Well,
because not everybody that goes through it completes it.
No, and it is difficult. It's disappointing to watch someone take so many steps forward and then see them fall back, and it happens. But each individual is responsible for themselves, and there's only so much I can do. I have said more than once that I can't believe in you more than you believe in you. And there's truth to that.
I like that.
So you continue to reach out and you continue to extend that hand, but Goodwill is focused on a hand up and not a hand out. And so we're there to assist individuals who are ready to make that step. And that's who you have to focus on. You focus on the successes and you continue to work with individuals who are ready. And you hope and give some prayer to those that might not be quite ready that they will be and they'll come back.
Are they able to move through the program at their own pace, or do you have a certain criteria that they have to meet each week?
Yeah, they are able to move at their own pace. Now, with some of the more intensive training programs where we have instructor-led courses leading to nationally recognized certification, there is a class schedule that they would need to meet. So, for example, in the Certified Logistics Technician through MSSC, that is a 6-week course, and they're expected to meet every week with the instructor. They're expected to complete all of the coursework, and then they're expected to sit for the exam. So we try to provide as much guidance as we can, recognizing that these are adults that we're working with and they have lives of their own, and how we provide that support to help them meet their goals.
Do you do any of the training?
No, I administer tests, but I don't do a lot of training personally. We have individuals that are subject matter experts that come in and do that. I do have the opportunity to meet with, speak to, and encourage individuals, but my background is not logistics, so I will let the folks that know logistics well teach that class.
There you go. What is probably, when you look at the whole program, what is probably the most needed thing for an applicant or somebody that's going through the process with you folks?
The largest gap we see is in recognizing kind of the core job readiness skills that are needed. Nobody likes to be told that they're not job ready, but the reality is that oftentimes they need assistance in how to dress, how to speak, how to show up on time. Some of those basic skills that as an employer you expect aren't always second nature. And so for those of us that were blessed to be raised with parents that taught us those skills, I think sometimes we forget that not everyone had that. And so if you were raised in a home where you were never taught that it was important to call if you couldn't be there, or if you went to work or didn't go to work, it didn't matter, somebody has to teach that. And so those basic skills are where I see the biggest gap. Beyond that, obviously, moving from an entry-level position to a middle-skilled position requires additional training. And that's really where Helms College came from. How do you move beyond that first step?
Right. Well, you mentioned Helms College. Tell us about that.
Well, Helms College was started in 2007, and our CEO, James Stiff, really had a vision. When you see somebody begin at a position, and it's fantastic, but how do you move beyond that?
Right.
And so Helms College is the very first fully licensed, accredited, Title IV funding and GI Bill eligible college owned and operated by Goodwill in the world. So we're very proud to be associated with that. Currently, Helms College offers certificate, diploma, and associate degree programs in the culinary arts. We also offer some programs in healthcare and are looking towards expanding into industrial trades. We have campuses in Macon, Georgia and Augusta, Georgia. And we are hopeful that Aiken will have a campus in the future.
Wow, that would be a neat thing. Are they in-person classes, or are there online classes, or both?
No, they're in person. The college is built on the foundation of stronger wraparound services, not to compete with existing colleges that are operating so fantastically, like USC Aiken or Aiken Tech. They do a fantastic job. Our college is focused more on individuals that need that hands-on component. So we have courses in the classroom taught by instructors, and then they have the opportunity to practically apply the knowledge they've learned in a classroom in a real world setting, and in employment at our conference center, our restaurant, our cafe. Edgar's Grill in Augusta is a great example of that. If you've not had the opportunity to eat there, you should. It's fantastic.
I have not, but I've heard that it is a wonderful place to eat.
It is good. But our students have the opportunity to learn hands-on what they're learning in the classroom. So it's one thing to tell you how to prepare 200 chickens. It's another thing to do it for a conference.
When you said that, it reminded me of being in the service when I was, you go through basic training, you have to do KP. And I remember sitting back in there with the cooks and preparing meals for an entire company, and there were probably 300 in there. So when you made that comment, my mind rushed back to many years ago and having to help prepare food
Yeah.
for things like that, that it is a real art. And the people that know how to do it, it doesn't faze them. It's just part of it. But knowing the things to do and how to prepare for it is so important. And I don't think I'd want to eat any food prepared by somebody who learned it all online. I think that having that one-on-one is a great way to go. So that is really a neat program. And you said that started in 2007?
It did, yes.
Wow. And it has evidently taken off, and now we're in 2016. So the success ratio must be very well documented.
It is. You know, we continue to grow and look at what programs are needed. And again, it's based on the individual communities that we serve. We really want to meet the needs of employers by adding additional programs that make sense. So individuals that might have a barrier to employment of some type, or not for that matter, can begin a program at Helms College, can complete their diploma, certificate, or associate's degree, and then obtain a middle skilled position. So again, we come back to that concept of, you know, a meaningful job at a sustainable wage.
Yeah.
You know, not just creating the working poor at a minimum wage job.
So you give people an opportunity to move into a career and not just a job.
Absolutely.
And the one thing that you said I've heard echoed by so many different businesses is that today it's hard to find people to fill positions, and the people take the responsibility to show up on time, to call when they're sick, to let them know what they're going to do, whether they're going to be there or not. And that's it's hard to believe that people don't do that, but and you have to teach that as a part of your training. But
we do.
It's good. When you mentioned that you taught even down to the very essence of a presentation of themselves, that you taught dress too. What are some of the things that are important for a person when they're doing an interview? How should they be dressed? Let's just say either a man or a woman. What do you dress for a particular type of business you're going to? Do they need to wear a coat and tie, or dressy dress, whatever?
Well, you know, general rule is to be dressed just a bit better than the position would require.
Okay.
You know, there's lots of kind of basic rules about conservative attire and color and that type of thing. And I'll give you an example or a story. So
Sure.
I remember doing an interview with a young lady who clearly was just so proud of herself and how she was presenting herself. The problem was that she had on brightly colored undergarments with a white colored shirt. And for her, she really was just proud. She felt like she was dressed up and looked fantastic, and she really had no idea that her dress was not appropriate. And so we were able to pull her aside and talk with her about being conservative, about, you know, what professional dress meant, without embarrassing her.
Yeah.
And then to see her kind of that light bulb moment where it clicked and it made sense. But, you know, she never had anybody teach her that.
Yeah.
She was never told any better growing up. So it's just very rewarding to see an individual. She would not have gotten a job dressed the way that she was. And it was not because she wasn't a wonderful person, and it's not because she didn't try, it's because she didn't know. She lacked the basic knowledge of making certain that her clothes could not be seen through under bright lights, right. And making sure that she was dressed conservatively, so that the attention was on her, what she was saying, on her, not her wardrobe.
Wow. The whole process of Goodwill Industries and the things that you offer and the things that you do, I think this will be very enlightening to our listeners and viewers. So when people donate or when people give things to Goodwill and you market them or put them back in there, there's a lot happens with the money. Tell us about that.
Yeah. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've heard, I know when I bring stuff to Goodwill, something good happens to it, but I really don't know what. And so it's always wonderful to have the opportunity to tell people what happens. So when you bring a donation in, you know, our employees and our trainees have the opportunity to learn basic skills simply by processing those items. You know, if you bring a bag of stuff in, we have to go through that bag, separate it by what type of item it is, price it, put it on the floor. So you're learning warehousing, you're learning basic inventory management, customer service, cash handling, all of those pieces in and of itself. But beyond that, we're very proud to be able to say that 86 cents of every dollar that's brought into our organization goes directly back to our mission. And our Goodwill has been recognized by Goodwill Industries International as doing the most good with those dollars of any Goodwill in the world. So, you know, you can certainly shop and donate with confidence in that the dollars that are coming in are being used to help individuals obtain meaningful employment.
Right. I think that was, to me, learning that was probably the most interesting part of knowing a little bit more about Goodwill, is the fact that the good that you do by giving it is the fact that you're giving that, it's not only a gift, but you're giving an opportunity for somebody to take that gift and learn from it as they process it and get it ready to be sold. So that's an incredible thing. Well, I hope that everybody walks away with the same feeling I do, that Goodwill Industries is playing a very vital part in our community and is serving a very vital need, and that is training, retraining, and qualifying people to be vital, strategic parts of our community. And from the city to you, we just want to say thank you for being a part of our community and for adding these wonderful benefits to the labor force, to the men and women who are out there looking for employment but don't really know how to do it. And you give them that opportunity to succeed and to feel like they are a giving part of the community. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jennifer.
Thanks for having me.